Caris Newton was leading until I was in Mbere. That's what I'm saying. Until there was an attack in one of the polling stations. And it is from that polling station that the UDA candidate won the elections. Get that? When they took over the polling station and they were the one now in charge counting and doing everything. You see, whoever counts the votes is the one who determines who is the winner. Presidential election will be individual campaign and individual matter. The CSS will not camp in one constituency to just push for your agendas. Everybody will be pushing their own agenda. And it is at that time that we will confirm to them that it is the will of the people that will count and not the will of the president. Minus 600 million, minus the machineries that were sent there, and then give it a level playground same to what we had. Wamudende and Kindiki could have not even gotten 5,000 votes in Mbere. And if you want to confirm this, 2027 is soon coming. They will be home.
Naam, mpenzi mtazamaji wa Sauti TV, tuko na kiongozi wa Youth United Opposition, Senator Ken Babu. Karibu sana kwenye Road to 2027. By-elections imekamilika. Tulikuwa na wewe ni last week ama 2 weeks ago, before by-elections. Na ukaniambia opposition mta whitewash government candidates ama broad-based government candidates. Out of the 22 seats, unaona zile zilikuwa the most contentious ama the most publicized zilienda na serikali. What was your takeaway from hizo by-elections?
Thank you so much. Kwanza acha niseme kwamba we had an election that reflected largely what is anticipated in 2027. Na mimi nataka niseme kwamba the government must not encourage the use of violence and police harassment and brutality in an election. They need to give the citizens an opportunity to participate in an electoral process freely and fairly with a surety of security. What we witnessed in Mbere North was not an election. It was burglary of, in fact, it was attacks on citizens. Because we had violence at different polling stations in the morning, which scared most of the voters. And then we also had violence towards the closure of the polling centers. And there's one polling station called Gitibiru that was taken over by CS Ruto with these boys. And that is where Wamudende got the winning vote. Our agents were sent out of that polling station, and it is Ruku and his team that were doing the counting. So these are things that we have to condemn, and we have to come out strongly and call out the government and remind the regime that cabinet secretaries, public servants are not supposed to take part in electoral processes, in elections. So Waziri Ruku should be summoned by parliament to explain what exactly he was doing in a polling station while he is a public servant. He is a holder of a public office who should be serving the entire country. What exactly was he doing in a polling station at that time? So those are things that we have to call out. We have to call out violence against the voters. We have to call out voter bribery. And we have to tell Kenyans that people of Mbere did not vote for UDA candidates. People of Mbere voted for opposition candidate, the DP candidate. But their wishes, their candidate was whitewashed, was rigged out from winning that election by the regime led by William Ruto through CS Ruku. Yes.
From this, wengine wanasema kwamba at this point in time, Kenyan elections cannot be stolen, as people wengi wanasiasa, nyinyi wanasiasa mnasema it is not just easy to steal these elections. Watu wanasema maybe mahali mlikosea ama mahali viongozi wa opposition walikosea ni walifocus on emotion driven politics other than hata kuuza sera na kufanya vitu zingine kama hizo.
My friend, let me tell you, Caris Newton was leading until I was in Mbere. That's what I'm saying. Until there was an attack in one of the polling stations. And it is from that polling station that the UDA candidate won the elections. Get that? When they took over the polling station and they were the one now in charge counting and doing everything. You see, whoever counts the votes is the one who determines who is the winner. So the moment they took over the tallying station and they were the ones counting, I mean, they had the discretion and the powers to decide who wins that election. I mean, in that polling station, and that is what happened. So it is not. I agree with Kenyans that stealing election is not an easy thing, but then we must encourage and call out Kenyans to stay put and stay woke, because what we witnessed in the by-elections, if that is what's going to replicate itself in 2027, then we will not have a country, because people will not allow their wishes to be washed away and stolen that way. What happened in Mary North should be condemned and should be called out. You cannot take over an entire polling station and beat up agents like you don't care and then declare your candidate as the winner. So those are things that, those are errors that IBC need to put strict measures, but of importance, they have to call out Waziri to explain what he was doing at the polling station, whereas he's a public servant. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Lessons from this by-election? What lessons did you as opposition learn that will either make you win 2027 or lose?
The biggest lesson I can take home is the young people needs to be more encouraged to come out and vote, and majority of the people who are voting were senior citizens, especially the women. The women and the senior citizens are still convinced that they can change this country. But the youth must also get serious. The youth must get out. The youth must understand that changing the way this country is led can only happen at the ballot. The youth must take advantage of a voting period and come out and vote. It's good. Most of them were saying that we are protecting the vote. But again, you cannot protect if you have not cast. You have to cast first and then come and protect. So I want to tell the biggest lesson we are picking here is still on the ground, people are considering party popularity. And that's why when Rigathi said that his party, the DCP party did not field a candidate, I agree with him totally. And that was my thinking immediately, from the onset. Party popularity contributes heavily on the voter turnout. But again, the parties must also be careful and keen on the type of candidate they give to the people. Because if you have garbages in parliament, the first person to be held accountable is the party and the party leadership, because it is through the party nominations that we get candidates that will run in the subsequent elections. So I want to say that party popularity still holds ground. There was a low voter turnout of the youth, and I want to encourage the young people to take advantage of this period, register as voters, and when that time comes, get out and vote. And then, of course, there is so much violence during, before, and after elections, which should be condemned, and IBC must come out strongly on this issue of violence, because it contributes so much in voter suppression. Yeah.
The biggest winners in this election? Politically, not the ones who won the seats, but the biggest winners politically.
The biggest winners are Kenyans, the people on the ground.
Why?
Whose victory was denied, because they confirmed to the government that you are not popular as you may think. And it had to take the government extra efforts to snatch away that victory from the citizens. I want to tell you that the resources that were used in these by-elections can transform this country if they were put in a proper use. We cannot have entire regime, entire government structure. All the CSS from the central region were in Mbere. All the PSS from central region were in Mbere. All UDA members, MPs, nominated MCS were in Meru. Were in Embu. Just one by-election. You can imagine the amount of resources that were put in that elections. So what I want to say is Kenyans won. And the government knows that Kenyans won this election, and Kenyans put a statement to them that we are not in good books with the government, and we are willing and ready to transform and change this government, take it home and put in another one. So for me, the people who won this election are the Kenyan people, the citizens on the ground. But the government denied them their victory.
The biggest losers in the election?
The biggest losers, of course, is the government. Because it was confirmed to them that they do not have the grounding that they are imagining they have. Mr. William Ruto must understand that he doesn't have the confidence. They could not have confidence in him anymore. And he must he must pull up his socks, because 2027 will be a serious marathon. And I want to tell those UDA MPs and who are camping in Mbere for this by-election. Presidential election will be individual campaign and individual matter. The CSS will not camp in one constituency to just push for your agendas. Everybody will be pushing their own agenda. And it is at that time that we will confirm to them that it is the will of the people that will count and not the will of the president. Yes.
From these elections, Babu, going forward, kuna vitu watu wamekuwa wakisema, those in government wamesema it has proven that Rigiji is after all not the Mount Kenya kingpin, for example. Wengine wamesema it has proven that Wetangula is no longer the Bungoma kingpin because ward yake kiti imeenda. It has proven that maybe wamesema kwa all these leaders ni Matiang'i peke yake labda aliweza kushinda na Kindiki ndio huyo ameshinda, sasa amejiprove kama Mount Kenya kingpin. Yote
first, Matiang'i won nothing because Matiang'i's Jubilee party fielded a candidate in Kisii and did not get anything. Matiang'i is a deputy party of Jubilee. UPA is a different issue. That UPA thing is a different issue. Matiang'i is a deputy party of Jubilee. So if Jubilee did not get anything, Matiang'i got nothing. On the issue of Rigathi Gachagua and Kindiki, I want to tell you, Rigathi Gachagua was doing this campaign from his own resources and mobilization. Kindiki was using directly state coffers. If Kindiki was in the position that Rigathi Gachagua is in right now, he could not even convene a meeting of 30 people. And he knows that. If you go to the mountain today as it is right now, Kindiki is a nobody there. And he knows that. Rigathi Gachagua still holds the water. He still stands out. And when he said that let me tell you, if this Mbere North was a DCP candidate, it would have been a different case. We saw DCP candidate here in Kariobangi North, where ODM had a candidate, UDA had a candidate. What happened? He carried the day. We saw DCP candidate in Narok Town, where ODM equally had a candidate. What happened? They were flawed. We saw DCP candidate in Kisa East. They won elections. I want to tell you, and I want to confirm to you, DCP is barely 7 months old. Barely 7 months old. Comparing a candidate that was not a DCP candidate, because Rigathi Gachagua was supporting him, and comparing that competition with somebody who was using directly state coffers over 600 million just to get 15,000 votes, that tells you where the people are. Minus 600 million, minus the machineries that were sent there, and then give it a level playground same to what we had. Wamudende and Kindiki could have not even gotten 5,000 votes in Mbere. And if you want to confirm this, 2027 is soon coming. They will be home.
The Wetangula Natembea battle in Chwele, Kabuchai, Majimbo, Kalasinga.
Wetangula is finished. Take it on record. Natembea is the new king in Western. He has proven it beyond reasonable doubt that he is ready for the mantle and is willing to lead the community. So Wetangula must understand that a good dancer knows when to leave the floor. It's high time that he sits ground and let the young fresh blood, Governor George Natembea, to take over and give the community direction. Yes. That was proven in Chwele Kabuchai. Chwele Kabuchai is not just a word. That is where Wetangula comes from. That is his word. In fact, Wetangula votes in that word. And he was not in the ground to vote even for his own MCA. No, he did vote. Yeah? If he was there, what happened? How much influence did he have? So you see, Natembea has proven beyond reasonable doubt that he can lead that community. And he must be given that opportunity because the people who are the supreme power have confirmed and endorsed him as the new kingpin.
Let's finalize, Babu. Last statement. Going forward, lessons from this by-elections. You've told me the lessons. Who are the people to watch? What are the things to watch? And if Kenyans don't do that, if politicians don't do that, in 2027, kuna either watu watakuwa 1 term, kuna watu watakuwa 2 term, kuna wengine watakuwa 4 term, kuna wengine watakuwa hizo zote.
Itakuwa long term. First, allow me comment on something that Rigathi Gachagua said in the church yesterday, and he mentioned something to do with around the Nairobi politics, and he said that the DCP party will field candidates in Nairobi County, and I've seen in the media people have politicized the statement, and they've made it look like it's now a tribal issue. I want to make it clear. When Rigathi Gachagua said that DCP party will field candidates in Nairobi County, starting from governor, MCA, senators, and MPs, that does not mean that he meant that he's going to field Kikuyu candidates. It's the same way that ODM can come and say that we are going to field in the entire Nairobi County. The same case if UDA says that they won't field. What Rigathi Gachagua meant is that the DCP party will field candidates in the entire county. So if Ken Babu, I am in DCP, and I get the favors of the people of Nairobi, I can still run on that ticket. That does not mean that I'm a Kikuyu. That's the conversation. That is the communication that Rigathi Gachagua was giving.
I think the issue was people, he said, sisi biashara ni zetu, Nairobi ni yetu, kwa hivyo tutakuwa na candidate. He said, sisi kama Wakikuyu, Nairobi ni yetu, biashara ni zetu, pesa ni yetu.
People must understand that even the Kariobangi North MCA was not elected by only Kikuyus. There are some Luo voters who voted for him, Luya voters, Kambas, of course Kikuyus. So it should not be politicized. That's the point. At the end of the day, all communities in Nairobi will have to agree on how they are going to balance the equation. The point is, bloggers have politicized what Rigathi Gachagua said, and that's not the case. The issue is DCP party will field in Nairobi County. So if there are Masais in DCP party who can run Nairobi County, they will run on that ticket. That does not mean that everybody will run on DCP will be a Kikuyu. And on the issue of, on the final thing that I would say to the young people, we have to get serious. This country, as it is today, William Ruto is living a future he worked for 25 years or 30 years ago. Raila Odinga the late, until the time he died, he had lived the future he had worked for. So if the future that William Ruto is living today is bad or good, it's up to him, because that is what he prepared. So for the youth, whatever we are preparing today is what we shall reap tomorrow. So if you want to sit down in the trenches and watch things go bad, fine. 20, 30 years from today, it will catch up with us, when we will not be able to feed and bring up families. So I want to encourage the young people to come on board, get into political parties, be engaged, ask questions, demand responses, and ensure that you engage actively. But of more importance, get your vote, and don't just vote. You can also contest and be voted in, because the future is there for those who prepare for it. And nobody is going to prepare a future and then you come jump into it. You must be part of the cooking.
Asante sana Ken Babu. We'll be looking forward to hear more from you.
Thank you.